And in chapter 6, David fetches the ark and puts it on a new cart. Also in chapter 6, this is where you see the man named Uzzah. Some people say Uzzah. He's smitten by God because he tries to catch the ark when it falls. How many know God is a God who runs in order? Amen. God is a God of decency and in order. Everything. He is the master. But I can't even say it right. Master planner, I'll put it that way. He's the best strategical person that you will ever know. Who do you think gave David war plans? Yes. Who gave Joshua war plans? Do you think that, don't you know that they still study Joshua's war plans now, today, in history books? Even though they don't want to give God credit for it. They still study these. Because God, thoughts are not our thoughts. His ways are not our ways. He's above all and not beside none. So in chapter 6, we're going to go to the, what did I say, 21st verse. And it says, and David said unto Michal, it was before the Lord which chose me before thy father, and before all his house, to appoint me ruler over the people of the Lord, over Israel. Therefore will I play before the Lord. And I will yet be more vile than thus, and will be base in mine own sight, and of the maid servants which thou hast spoken of them shall I be had in honor. He says, David said unto Michal, it was before the Lord which chose me before thy father. What's happening here is when they were bringing it in, David put the ark into a particular house, and they were blessed. After Uzzah was smitten, because David was in fear of God. And he said, okay, I'm not going near that thing. Y'all take it to so-and-so. Obadiah. Yeah. Obadiah. There we go. To Obadiah's house. He says, take it there. And do you know for 3 months that ark laid and dwelled there, and they were blessed. Yeah. And everybody around them was blessed. Everyone around them and inside of that house was blessed. And so the servants went back to David and said, David, King David, hold on. I think you made a mistake because those people are having a party. That's right. That's right. We need some of that. Let us get it in too. I want a piece of that. And David said, wait a minute. You mean to tell me that after God smote him, Uzzah, he blessed Obadiah? Well, it is good for it to be in the house of God. Okay, bring it, get it. So they went and got it. David was dancing before the Lord. And he had his ephod on. That's what the priest wore. He had his ephod on. And he danced out of his clothes. But he didn't care because it was before the Lord. And one of the daughters of Saul, remember, Saul was David's enemy. David was an enemy to Saul. God had hardened Saul's heart against him. Took his mercy away from Saul. And anointed David king before he was king. So, Michal is still dwelling in the house because David was a man after God's own heart. And he let her dwell there. And she looked out the window and saw David dancing naked. And came down and said, let me read what she said. How about that? She says, what did she say? How glorious was the King of Israel today, who uncovered himself today in the eyes of the handmaids of his servants, as one of the vain fellows shamelessly uncovered himself. That's an exclamation mark, so you know she was trying to get him like King David. You know how you sisters got get the neck rolling and everything. He was popping out of place. Shamelessly uncovered himself. That's where we're at. And David said unto Michal, it was before the Lord which chose me before your father and before everybody else in Israel to appoint me ruler over the people of the Lord. Over Israel, therefore will I play before the Lord. He said, I don't care what you say, because God be for me, who can be against me? I know that God is with me, and I'm going to do what he tells me to do, and I'm not going to worry about what you say. That was bold. So how many know when you speak against God's people, persons come to you? If you look in the last verse of that chapter, it says, therefore Michal, the daughter of Saul, had no child until the day of her death. She never buried a child. Saul was completely cut off. His legacy was completely cut off. His son died. My God. Anyways, let's move on. He says he chose me. God chose you before the foundation of the earth and called you his prophets. Called you his sons and daughters. Called you a peculiar people. God chose you. How do we know this? Well, glad you asked. We're going to go to Genesis. Turn to Genesis 1 and 26. By the way, these are good choices that we're reading about right now. We're going to get to the bad one. Genesis 1:26. It reads, oh, are you there? Amen. And it reads, and God said, let us make man in our own image, after our likeness. So God decided. He thought to himself, and then said, so he decided in himself and said, let us make man in our own image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So God decided to create man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. And God blessed them, and said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. And God said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in the which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed, to you it shall be for meat. And to every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the air, and to everything that creepeth upon the earth, wherein there is life, I have given every green herb for meat, and it was so. And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very. And the evening and the morning were the sixth day. So that's like 3 parts right there. He says, I thought, and then I said, let us make man in our own image. Then he goes down and says, so God created man in his image. How many people know that your choices determine your future?